What if I told you that the number one reason people don't finish your course has nothing to do with motivation and everything to do with you? Yeah, it's not that your students are lazy or distracted. Most of the times they just can't see themselves in what you're teaching. It feels generic and therefore they drop off. Today I'm going to let you in on two simple secrets that ensure everyone wins, and that's you and your learners. If you get value from this video, please hit subscribe and like for the algorithm and add a comment, which is great for my soul. It really helps me create more content for you. So how do you boost course completion? The first thing you can do is make it personal. When you're in a classroom, and you can all remember back to school, I'm sure, teachers don't teach everyone the same, and yet it is one person teaching the whole room at the time. So they teach the same lesson using a multitude of modes or modalities, as we call them. In other words, people learn in different ways. You don't see it, but it happens on an ongoing basis throughout every lesson. And one of the mistakes that's commonly made by course creators is they teach in one way. For example, they only use video or they only use audio. The fact of the matter is not everybody learns those ways. So we have different types of learners. The most common that you'll hear are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, which is touch. Obviously, there's all sorts of combinations of that, and then there's other variations as well. But the key thing is that you need to involve your learners in the learning. Just making them sit there and listen will not increase their knowledge. Combining different factors together is what helps people succeed. So you have to be thinking all the time when you're writing your course and when you're recording it, to think about the actual learner that you're talking to. And remember, we always talk about using an avatar. In other words, we're talking to a specific person or a specific audience. You need to target them specifically. And so make sure all the things you're doing actually help that person, no matter what their style of learning is, learn better. And that means incorporating different elements in your lesson. I know that every classroom teacher, one of the hardest things to do when you've got 30 people in front of you is to teach everyone in the room. And yet that is the job. The job is to get everybody passed, to get everybody to learn what it is you're to teach. So when planning lessons, we actually do things like we make sure there's some things that involve the hands. So there might be some physical movements, working with blocks or something. Who knows? Depends whether it's maths, English, science, whatever. But there's some element that actually involves the body movement. Then there's some elements that involves people listening. And then we use diagrams and videos to help with the visual elements. And you need to think about that too. One of the things you can do is, before you create your course, you can actually use pre-surveys or intro questions that you give people so that you can tailor your examples into your course. Now, this helps in two different ways, because one, you're actually asking people who might buy the course what they want in the course. Two, you're finding out the type of learners they are and what sorts of things they like to do. So you can get all sorts of information up front. Now, that's not always possible. Sometimes you get that information on the back end of the course when you get the feedback, and then you can take it, maybe re-record or add extra things into your course. But again, remember, you're trying to make it as personal as you can for every learner. Even though you're only recording it once, you're not recording it for every person watching. What you're looking for is for people to feel that this was made for me. And if they get that feeling, then they're more likely to finish it. And that's all about being relatable and making sure you think about that person. It's really important that you consider making it personal. Do you want to launch your first course fast? Grab my free guide, 10 profitable courses you can create in a weekend. Inside, you'll see proven course ideas that work, even if you've never built one before. It will save you heaps of time trying to work out where to start. Download it for free right now at mrwebmarketing.com. So the second thing you can do, and this one is super powerful as well, is you need to build in accountability. So what's accountability? They need to hit certain goals, or they need to complete certain tasks by certain times. And you can help them in a whole lot of different ways. One time when I was preparing some courses, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a high-end executive coach. And I said to her, look, one of the things I'm finding really frustrating about building courses is I feel like you put the course out there, but there's no personal involvement with the people doing the course. And because I come from the background of teaching originally, I'm used to that kind of classroom feeling where I can talk to you and ask you questions, and you can ask me questions, and you can get answers to what you need. And you don't get that when you prepare a course. I said to her, what are some ideas that I could use to do this? And she said, one of the things I like to do is I actually set up a weekly live chat. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds painful because that means every week at a certain time I have to be there. Being places at certain times every week is hard to do because I'm a firefighter and I'm on call as a volunteer at any time of the day. Promising people I'll be there is an issue. What she said to me was, it's pretty simple. What I actually do is I just work at my desk of a morning. So every morning I turn on a live stream or a Zoom call, whatever you want to use, and people can log in during that time. So while I'm working, I'm transmitting. And if anyone comes on, they can ask me questions and I can talk to them. So that way I'm at my desk already. It's there running. People can log in anytime and ask me questions. And I thought, actually, that's super powerful. Most people could do that. If you're working at your computer, you have the ability just to make a Google Meet and just put the link out there to the people who have bought your course. And then they can log in and ask you questions if they've got any. And if no one logs in, that's fine because you're getting your work done. So create some checkpoints. Having those live times or having access to DMs so people could actually message you, say through Facebook Messenger or Snapchat or something like that, means that they have the ability to ask questions. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be available 24 hours a day because that's a no-no. You need a life just as much as they need a life. But as long as they understand that they can ask a question and next time you're coming past the computer and you've got time, you will answer it, this will work fine. The other thing you can do is set up a buddy system. You can get people working together in teams. You can ask people if they want a study buddy, as we sometimes call them. And that can work really well. One of the times I've seen that work really well is where someone was teaching a course, but what they were doing is doing it over Zoom. So every week you'd log in for an hour and people would come together during that hour to learn the next part of the course. And we were using breakout rooms. So we'd break out, put 3 people in a room, and you'd have 15 minutes to chat about the topic. Then you all come back together and you discuss it as a group. Those little breakouts actually gave people a chance to connect with each other and build friendships, quite frankly. And some of those friendships, I know that course was 4 years ago. I am still friends with those people. So it's amazing how powerful that is. And from time to time, we check in on each other and we see how we're going. So never overlook the ability to connect people. Use things like breakout rooms in Zoom. Have weekly live chats. Remind people that learning alone is hard, but finishing it together is easy. If you can get people working together and be accountable to each other, not just to you as the person who produced the course, you're going to see even better results. In fact, most people really love that experience even more than doing the course. Those connections are super powerful. Those communities can be built in many different ways. I've given you a couple of examples, but it's really up to you to play around and see what your audience likes doing. As I said, you can just open up a Google Meet while you're sitting at your desk, and then you can connect people together through there. So there you go. There's 2 things that you can do that can boost your course completion. And it's not that hard to do. Think about what you need to do to make it more personal and build in some accountability so people have something to strive towards. Thanks for watching. If you got value from this video, please hit subscribe and tap that like for the algorithm, and also add a comment, which is good for my soul. I really like to know that I'm making a difference to someone. And before you go, please grab my free guide, 10 profitable courses you can create in a weekend. It's full of simple, proven ideas that you can build fast and start selling right away. Download it now at mrwebmarketing.com, and I'll see you in the next video.